Recording in progress.
What up, family? What's good? I'm your boy Trey Frazier. I got my brother Maestro Styles here with me.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to another episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk podcast. I want to say a special shout out to all of our Facebook Live viewers right now. Make sure y'all tell a friend to tell a friend. Click the like button on the Facebook page so we do these shows. You guys will get these Facebook Live notifications, and also you can follow us on our YouTube channel. And don't forget the other social media. We're on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. And also you can follow us on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. Another week in the books, man. What's good? What's going on, bro? How you feeling?
Coolin', man. Ain't nothing. How you?
Oh, I'm feeling good, man. I'm still, on my water thing. So no juice for the whole month of April. Just straight water. I'm trying to live the healthiest life I could live, man.
Easter was good?
Yeah, Easter was great, man. Easter was, time with the family. Had a 4-day weekend, actually. I was off yesterday and I was off Friday. So, those things are never long enough. But, anytime I do get them days off, I, try to take advantage of everything.
That's what's up.
So,
hey, man, let's get straight to it, man. NBA
playoffs, here we are. But first, let me just do this, Maestro. I want to give a special shout out to Paul George, because before that play-in game last week, Paul George tested positive for COVID and had to be put on the protocol on the list, and he couldn't play in that game against the Pelicans to get that final 8th spot. So I want to send a special shout out to him, because I know he wanted to get in that game real bad, to get into the playoffs. And obviously it kind of changed the way the Clippers approached the game and the way they played the game, even though they were very competitive in that game. On the flip side of that too, I do want to congratulate Coach Willie Green of the Pelicans for coming back from a 13-point deficit to win the play-in game and to lock up that number 8 spot. And we'll talk about the Pelicans and the Suns, and really I don't think the Pelicans have a chance of winning the game in the series, in my opinion. But we'll touch base on that. I do want to start with the Boston Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets in Game 1 on Sunday. Classic playoff game. Buckets for bucket, toe for toe. Jason Tatum with the game winner off the spin move off of Kyrie. Celtics get Game 1, and there's some talk that Ben Simmons has been, trying to get himself in shape and potentially make a return to these playoffs. I don't know if it's going to be this series. If they do advance, I don't know if it's going to be the next round, but that's what the talking heads are talking about.
Yeah, and if he does, that's good for Brooklyn, obviously.
Yeah.
To the game, man, and I'll be honest with you, great game. It looked a lot of the game from what I saw. Shout out to Kyrie who went off, but it seemed like Boston had the pulse of the game for majority of the game. I think somewhere between me putting my head down to do a session and looking up, Brooklyn had caught up.
Yep.
And
took a lead.
Even took a lead. You're right. Even took a lead. I think for me, if I'm to sum up this game, Kevin Durant didn't have a good game, and that means and Boston still barely won with a buzzer beater. And I think I think for me, that speaks volumes for how I think the series is going to go. No shade to Boston. Boston, they doing their damn thing. Shout out to the coach. First year in, straight to the playoffs. Like the build that he, from the beginning of the season to now, he did his thing. He doing his thing. But I don't think Kevin Durant has another game like that. this series, and you know, and I think that's going to be the determining factor. Just my personal opinion. And if Ben Simmons happens to get him this series, I'm cool with him, and I'm sure everybody Brooklyn fans would be cool with him. Not, you know, if he scores 10 points. 7 assists and locks down, you know, and even slows down Jason Tatum. I think that's all you could ask for him as far as expectations if he makes it. And again, that's just going to be another notch on the belt of Brooklyn winning that series. I would love to say that my pick would change because of that game, but that game in my mind really more solidified for me that Brooklyn is going to win that series.
I was just going to say, so originally, what was your prediction before that game started?
Brooklyn in 7.
Yeah, I had the same prediction that Brooklyn was going to beat the and you know, you and I, we don't root for Boston on this side, so for me it's a little more personal, but I do respect the fact that Boston can play defense. I respect the fact that Brown and Tatum, you know, and particularly Tatum can get off whenever he wants to. I respect the fact that Marcus Smart plays smart, no pun intended. He had 20 points in the game 1. Respect to Al Horford, though, I think also had 20-plus points in the game as well. I think he had like 4 guys, you know, 20-plus points, you know, in that basketball game.
That's not happening. And
I agree. I agree.
It's not happening again.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. For both of who?
For Smart and Horford.
No, we agree. No, we agree with that. I don't want to say I don't want to say we're not going to see that again. I don't think they're going to do that in game 2 per se. I think things are going to change a little bit in game 2. But yeah, with respect to the Celtics, respect to those players and that coach, shout out to Nia Long. I can't do it, bruh. I'm sorry, the New Yorker in me can't do it, bruh. I can't.
I can't see it happening, bro. I can't see it happening.
I'm sorry, I can't do it. I couldn't do it. Would it shock me if Boston won this series? No, it wouldn't shock me. I just can't pick the Celtics. I just can't pick them to win the series.
I ain't
sorry.
gonna hold you. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if they lost this series. You would have to tell me that Kevin Durant or Kyrie got injured, or you know, like I can't see it. I can't see it happening. I can't see it happening.
So not only Ben Simmons could come back in this series, on the other side of this series, Robert Williams, who's supposed to be their best defender on the team, can also come back in this series as well. And even with that, even with his return, I still can't bring myself to change my pick. It's a bit personal for me. I can't do it, bro.
It's not as personal. It's not as personal for me as it is for you. Even though I don't like Boston for some of the same reasons they've done some of these things to the Wizards. But it's not as personal as, say, a New Yorker it would be for a New Yorker. But with that being said, Robert Williams, and I get that he's the best defender on the team. I still don't think I don't think he slows down. I don't think he slows down the train enough for Boston to get out of this series. I don't.
So I want to go back to the Nets season finale against, I think it was Cleveland. Not the play-in game, but the regular season game that they played.
Yep.
Where he had like 16 assists in that game. And then I think in the play-in game against Cleveland, he had 10 assists, right? So at that point, I'm thinking... KD.
Okay.
KD. So at that point, I'm thinking, yo, if you can get a Kevin Durant, and he didn't explode in either one of those games point-wise. I think he still had like 20-plus points in both games, but his assist numbers, you know, went up in those 2 games, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, yo, if KD could put up these type of assist numbers, maybe not average 10, 16 assists, but if he can, like, up that to, like, 8 or 9, like, if he averages that, like, that's going to be a real, real problem for teams that got to play the Nets. Like, even if you get a night where KD don't go for 40, right? But he can give you 9, 10 assists in a game. That's going to be tough to defend if you combine that with what Kyrie's been doing, over the last few games.
And I ain't gonna hold you. I'm loving everything Kyrie talking about, everything he doing. I'm loving the energy. I'm even loving that I'm hoping that even amongst the $50,000 fine, that he's still gonna keep that same exact energy.
Yeah.
I like.
He might get another 50,000
like
fine for real. He might get another fine.
I'm cool. I'm cool until he says I'm losing too much money. I like everything he's doing. I like his whole approach about this series.
The sage.
If that's how y'all going, then that's how I'm going, and that's just what it is. And it's not like at least yet, it's not like the trash talking is like affecting his game. It seems as if it's fueling his game.
Right.
And I'm here for it, man. So to all he need to calm down. Nah, he don't need to calm down. He need to keep it going like that until it affects his game or until he tired of paying the fines. But I'm all for flipping fans off. I'm for all of that. Like, the fans have done enough in the past 3 years to affect players and said enough wild shit.
Yeah.
Like, nah, well, let's respond back. Him telling the Slim back behind the back, to the locker room when he told Cuz
suck my
that. Like, y'all not gonna
I like that.
If we talking trash, we talking trash.
Nah,
so
I like that.
I'm with that. I'm
with
all the energy. I'm with all the energy, and again, to me, just my opinion, I think that's detrimental to Boston, man. Like, he playing with a fire right now that
even if they lose game 2, I still don't think Brooklyn is out of it. I really don't. Like, the Celtics could, take both games in their own place, and I could see Brooklyn racking off 4 straight, or I could see this going, to a game 7 and Brooklyn pulling it out in Boston. I could really see that.
Yeah. I don't know how it's gonna go as far as that. Obviously it would be opportune, or it'd be the right move for them to win game 2, obviously, or
of course
every game after that, obviously.
Of course.
But, you know how the probabilities go. You lose, you go down 0-2. Your probability goes down, and I think that they'll take that into consideration in how they approach for the game. But I'll be honest with you, I don't see them losing game 2. I don't.
Yeah, no. I mean, if I had to throw money at it, I think the Nets win game 2 and they come home and they try to get those 2 at home, even though I think it's going to be a split, tied 2-2, I think, going back to Boston for game 5. I really feel like this is where this series is going. I just think Tatum is too damn good for this series to not end in 7 games. I just think he's too damn good for that.
I think that team is good.
Yeah.
I think that team is too good.
Yeah, I agree.
Good team. That's a good team.
I agree. Well coached team too, by the way.
Yeah.
That reminds me when you brought up the Kyrie thing in the when they were walking back to the locker room. So there was a video that came out. It was a regular season Nets game in Brooklyn at home, and one of the fans in the crowd was yelling at KD like, "Hey, KD, you got to take over this game." And KD's response was, you need to shut the F up and sit down.
Yeah.
Like,
straight up.
Like, my man wasn't even trying to heckle KD. He was just like, He was just like, yo, I just need you to take over this game, bro. That's all I need. And he was just like, look, just shut the hell up. Sit your ass down. Just watch the damn game, all right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
I love it.
That's what it is.
I love it. All right. So you and I both agree. It's Nets in 7. Let's shoot over to Hawks and Heat, because that was a series that we were kind of waiting to see who the Heat was going to play in the number 8 spot. So Atlanta got past Cleveland. Obviously, what's that?
I said you were. I said it from the rip. The Hawks was going.
Oh, okay. I was what?
No, you said we was waiting to see who was going to get there. I know you saying that referring to the play-in game.
Got you. Yeah.
In my mind, I knew it was going to be the Hawks at the 8. So
No, got you. So, knowing what I know now, and Game 2 is tonight, I think. Knowing what I know now about Clint Capella, who got hurt in the play-in game against Cleveland, and there was no John Collins, and even though John Collins came back for Game 1 against Miami, I just have a hard time believing that the Hawks are going to even stretch this series to 6 games. I think the Heat get them up out of there in 5. And I'm only giving them 5 because I think Trey can get him 1.
Trae Young gonna get him 1, yeah.
I think Trey can get him 1. And he's gonna bounce back because 8 points in Game 1, like they really locked him up.
Shot terrible, yeah.
Shot terrible, but I mean they certainly, on several occasions they did lock him up. So, but without Capella, I just don't see how this team gets out of there in 6, 7 games. I really don't see it.
Yep, 5.
Yep.
I'm with you there too.
Yep.
8 and 5.
Yeah, no doubt. Sixers and Raptors, and it's just like with the injuries and stuff too. This is a sweep. And I know I had Philly in 7. That was my initial prediction. Philly pre Game 1, which they dominated. Let's call it what it is. Tyrese Maxey with the 38 points, and they were leaving him out there to try to get 40, but he missed those couple shots before that. So shout out to Tyrese Maxey on that. James Harden is just kind of treading along. It's like it's almost as if he's along for the ride at this point.
Well, here's the thing, Trey. Embiid, they have no answer for Joel Embiid. Period.
Yep.
They have no answer at all for Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
So, like you said, Maxey turned up, and with him doing that, then James Harden, like the pressure comes off of James Harden when Maxey is your second best scorer.
Yep.
And Tobias Harris is making shots.
Right.
So it's like it's easy for you to kind of just delve off into the the background. But let's be very clear. While they're going to sweep the Raptors, I'm not going to sit here and be like in this net with whoever they play next series. Well, Maxey's is going to average 30. 30. However much he's average, he's going to average 30 again in the next series. I'm not putting my money on that. We know who we need. We need James Harden to come in and be some semblance of James Harden. And the issue is, quite frankly, we don't know. And it came on my radar today watching YouTube that not only has he been not been great in the playoffs, but he might not be the same player with that coming off of that hamstring injury last year. It might not, so he's not the same guy athletically, physically. So
right.
I don't know. Along with him being along with him being not so great in the playoffs, now you got to deal with 32-year-old James Harden off a hamstring, and maybe he's not the guy he was before he got injured in Brooklyn, and certainly years removed from who he was in Houston. So Sixers are in trouble, man. And it's going back to our conversation about who won this trade, man. I still can't see a scenario where where the Sixers made off better than the Nets in that situation. I still can't think of a situation.
Yeah, well, for me, it's as long as they're in these playoffs, and if they can get to the finals and win the chip, then right as it stands right now, for me, they won the trade until they're no longer able to win a championship. I mean, for me, it's that. You traded for James Harden. James Harden is playing. You got rid of a guy that wasn't playing for you, and that guy on the other side still hasn't played yet. So, for me, it's just a waiting game for me. Like, what are y'all gonna do when y'all gotta go up against Miami in the second round? And beyond that, you might see the Greek Freak in the conference finals. You might see the Nets in the conference finals.
Yeah.
What
and he
the
don't
hell?
want to see the Nets.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
You don't want that.
We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So he better hope Boston do the work for him. That's what he better hope. But I for me, until they get knocked out, I'm just gonna stick with the notion that they won the trade for now. And a special shout out to Tyrese Maxey again. He dropped 24 in game 2. So, Tyrese Maxey in 2 games, he's playing some of his best basketball right now. Now in Toronto, will that change? Possibly, but I don't see with the Scotty Barnes injury. And I know Gary Trent Jr. came back last night in the game. They initially had him out, but he came back and played. And I think they had somebody else that was hurt that didn't play. But for me, when you got that much injuries, if you're Toronto and I'm trying to give you guys 3 games in the series, and those guys go down. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. And
I agree.
Maybe they get one. Maybe they get one at home. I mean, I just told somebody yesterday. I said, "Damn, like this is gonna be their first home playoff game since they won the chip 3 years ago." Because remember, they was in the bubble the following year, and then the year after that, which was last year, they missed the playoffs. So and that's one of the better home crowds in the NBA. Maybe they get one. I don't see it. I don't see it, bruh.
Nah, they don't. I mean, because the fact remains is they have no answer for Joel Embiid in the paint. So, we ain't even talking about him having to step out and maybe he have a bad shooting day.
Right.
He's going to go in the paint and go to work, and nobody on that team can stop him. And no 2 people can stop him. And if they decide to even go to the triple team, we know Joel Embiid is a decent passer.
Yeah.
Right. Tobias Harris is hitting shots right now. And, I don't see this going.
Yeah.
It's a sweep. Get the brooms out.
Yep, I agree with that. I think their best chance to win Game 3 or Game 4, I think their best chance is they got to draw attention to Maxey now. Now that he's shown you he can drop 30, he could drop 20, I think you got to roll some coverage his way now. And maybe force Harden to maybe become James Harden from 4 or 5 years ago. I mean that's kind of silly to say that now, right, about James Harden, but the reality is that James Harden, we haven't seen this James Harden yet. Like, even after the trade, we really haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. You could put if you try to swing coverage to Maxey. Joel Embiid is still in the paint.
Sure.
And nobody can guard him.
Sure.
And nobody can guard him. So,
but that's a given. That's a given. If it means you gotta.
I'm saying that to say that the pressure's kind of still off of Harden, because with nobody being able to stop Embiid can mess around and score 50.
That's possible. That's possible.
Like, he'll mess around and score 50.
But if you're Toronto, you kind of want to be like, okay, we proven we can't stop Embiid, right? So let Embiid get his off, and then we gotta contain the others. Like we can't let Maxey go for 38 and 24. Like we can't.
I hear you.
We can't let him do that, because if we can contain him, then we got a chance.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I get that you have to try something.
Yeah.
So I'm with you in that realm. You got to try something, but I mean, they can try what they want. I don't think there is nothing that happens.
And Thibauld's not there. And let's remember, too, Thibauld's not playing in these games. So that's one less body that, not that Thibault was lighting it up offensively, but that's just one less body. So.
And defensive, but unfortunately, defense ain't their problem right now against the Raptors. Raptors are not doing great at producing offense. So, for me, this is a sweep, and you're right that they have to try something.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's nothing they could try that's going
to work. I don't think it's going to work. Yeah, I'm with you. I think they get swept. At the end of the day, I think they get swept. So, Bulls and Bucks. I watched a little bit of Game 1, and I don't know if you saw my tweet, but it's just like, yo, where is DeMar DeRozan in the fourth quarter? Like, what's going on? What's good? And I tell you what, I got to give the Bulls some credit because that game was about to be a blowout, and they took a lead. They took a lead late in the third quarter, and they was battling with them all fourth quarter, and they just couldn't hit them shots when they needed to hit them shots down the stretch. If there was a game to steal for Chicago, that should have been the game. I mean, with the way they were playing, and really, that was a more of a defensive game to me. Like, I mean, Milwaukee kind of stole one. I mean, to kind of be blunt about it, they stole their own game at home. Because I don't think I've seen the best Milwaukee in game one in my book. I think Milwaukee is going to light their ass up in game two tomorrow night. I do think that if Chicago doesn't find a way to generate some offense and DeMar DeRozan, goes back to, well, he's already back to being that, playoff DeRozan, 18 points ain't going to cut it, man.
Yeah, well, I hate the DeMar DeRozan, like, okay, there's Greek Freak. Chris Middleton at this stage of his career is better than DeMar DeRozan. Like, I'm gonna just call it a spade a spade. He better than DeMar DeRozan right now. So now DeRozan is the third best player in the series, and with the two 1 and 2 being on the other team.
Yeah.
That's tough to overcome. Shout out to Zach LaVine, because I know he turned it up a little bit in game one. But there's nobody there that's like, oh, we got to stop the bleeding. There's no scorer on that team that could really stop the bleeding when it really counts. And with all due respect, I mean, honestly, I think this is gonna be a sweep too.
Yeah, we predicted last week this would be a sweep.
Oh, yeah. This,
Yeah,
it's going to be a sweep.
I just don't think, and just to talk about the other guys, I don't think Vucevic is doing anything defensively to stop the Greek Freak. All he's doing is just jacking threes up. I mean, he's not in the paint all that much. Alex Caruso, while he's a good defender, I don't think that he's locking anybody up. I mean, I don't think he's locking Chris Middleton up. I mean, just to put it bluntly. And, I mean, you look around the rest of the roster, White, I mean, they got some good players.
They got good players, but too early.
It's the champs, man. It's the champs for me,
Just is what it is.
So,
Caruso couldn't lock down Drew Holiday if they had to come down to it. Like, it just is what it is.
Yeah,
it just is.
Yeah, he had some big shots down the stretch also to help him steal that win in game one. But man, I wish I could say that we have some compelling series, but when you count the injuries and you just count like the
level of competition,
it's just because going in, I'm like, oh man, these matchups gonna be so good. Like, I mean, like if Capella was healthy, I'd give the Hawks, at least 2 games in a series against Miami. You know what I'm saying?
I think Capella and Collins got to be healthy for them to have a shot against Miami.
Yeah, and Collins is back, so
but he ain't back yet.
He ain't yet.
He's playing bad, but he ain't back yet.
Right. He's not 100%. So with those injuries, if Toronto doesn't have injuries, that series could last a little bit. It just seems like Boston and Brooklyn, that's like the creme de la creme in the East in terms of the first round matchups right now.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. And
I agree.
And really for me, the creme de la creme in the West now.
You ain't even got 2 in the 7s.
2 in the 7s. That's it, man.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
That's the only reason I'm watching playoff basketball for real is the 2 of the 7s.
2 in the 7, yeah. But let's talk about that.
Is it crazy? And I'm just gonna get straight to it.
What's up?
Is it crazy for me to think that the T-Wolves are gonna pull this off in 7?
I don't think it's crazy. So my prediction, because the T-Wolves had to get in the 7th spot.
Yeah.
And they beat the who they beat? The Clippers, right? To get in?
Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the T-Wolves have a chance to take this series to 7 games. I still think the Grizzlies are going to win the series, but I just think that there's just too much talent combined with a lack of playoff experience on both sides, if you know what I mean. So the Grizzlies, while they made the playoffs last year and they didn't really embarrass themselves against the Jazz, they still went out in 5 games against the Jazz. But this Memphis team is still a young team. This team is still lacking some real playoff experience. The Timberwolves, minus Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell, you could say this. You could say the exact same thing. This team lacks playoff experience. So, and I'm kind of surprised that Stephen A. would think that this is going to be like a quick series, because he was like, and I was watching the pregame on Saturday, and everybody was talking about, oh man, this is like the series right here. Like, these two teams, they're young, they both got guys that's like dogs and stuff. I think Anthony Edwards is a dog right now. He's playing like one, dropping 30, in the play-in, had another 30 plus in game 1. And Stephen A is like, what the hell y'all talking about? Like, this series should be done in 5 games by Memphis. And I'm like, is he serious? with that talent on Minnesota?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that for me, it's interesting that I did pick Memphis to win it, but I think looking at that game 1 made me switch up quick. D'Angelo Russell didn't have a good game.
Yeah,
and they still won. Anthony Edwards scored 36, and he was pretty much throwing the ball into an ocean. It was going in.
Yeah.
Cat was doing his thing, but for me, we speak a lot about inexperience, and Pat Beverly is easily the most experienced player in that series.
Yep.
With the biggest mouth, the biggest leader.
Yep.
And I think for me, Pat Beverly is the maybe not statistically and on the as far as scoring wise, the reason why they're going to win the series, but he got their energy right.
Yeah,
like he got their energy right now. He talking crazy, and he talking crazy. Got fined a couple of weeks ago with the whole the beer, and he's sending their ass home, all that.
Yeah,
and you could see and Ant-Man, he kind of picking up that kind of energy. He talking a little cocky. He talking coach don't like how I'm doing this step back, but I'm feeling it right now.
They all talking.
But then you could tell they're kind of adopting that Pat Bev mentality where we talking, we boisterous, we in our bag for real.
Yeah.
And I don't see that same energy with Memphis, and Memphis is normally that kind of team.
Yeah.
All them youngins they're normally that kind of team that's like, all right, well, we gonna talk our shit too.
Yep.
And it don't feel that way. It feel like Minnesota is kind of beating Memphis at that swag game, for lack of a better description. I was swagging them. It looks different on the court.
Yeah,
and for that reason, I think they're going to get him. I think they're going to get him at 7. And to be honest with you, I was feeling like I might say 6, but I'm gonna play safe and say 7.
Yeah, I think it's 7 games. But just to go back to the play-in game against the Clippers, and I said this on Twitter, even though Karl Anthony Towns put up 11 points, and to be honest, I was starting to question this dude's playoff resume, because if you remember a few years ago when they went up against the Rockets in the first round, dude had like 8 points in a playoff game and then backed it up with 11 points in game 2, I think. And now you're coming into a play-in situation, you're the best player on the team, and you put up 11 points, and you get 4 fouls before the half, and you foul out with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And for me, that just wasn't sitting right with me, right? Patrick Beverly won that play-in game for Minnesota. Combined with the fact that Anthony Edwards, down the stretch, knocked down some shots. D'Angelo Russell knocked down some shots in that game, and Patrick Beverley with the defense and with that attitude and just being a straight up dog won that play-in game for Minnesota to get that 7 seed. And I think, to your point, it's carrying over into this playoff series against Memphis, who is also a team that likes to talk, has a dog on their team. It's got a few dogs, I would say.
They got dogs, yeah.
They got a few dogs on that team. Right. So, I think this is a 7-game series. I don't know what Stephen A's smoking, but this series is a long series. It's a 7-game series. I think Memphis wins it eventually because I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be an X factor. Because that guy can block shots. He defends well. And I think he's going to be pivotal in one of these games. That's going to swing it towards Memphis's way. I really do.
Yeah. I'm going to say, I'm going to switch. I'm going to say Minnesota wins it in 7. Anthony Edwards shooting different. I get it's only one game.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's 2 games though.
2. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. 2.
Yeah.
But it looks different.
Mm-hmm.
It looks different, and I just
the swag.
Edwards. Is it reaching to say that Anthony Edwards is officially the best player on that team, Minnesota?
Not yet.
So you give it to still Cat. It's still Cat.
It's still Cat, even though I do have questions about him when it comes to the playoffs. But he bounced back from the play-in game in Game 1. He had a good Game 1. Let's see how he does the rest of this series. I mean, to me, if you're the best player, if you're Cat, you got to be averaging 28, 29 points in this series if you're the best player. And if you're not doing that, if you have one of those 8-point, 11-point games like you did a few years ago against Houston, then I can't give it to him. And especially if Anthony Edwards continues to do this, that dude's a problem. Anthony Edwards is a problem. And teams are going to have to deal with this guy.
Yeah, because I just wanted to be clear, and Cat is averaging 29, so
yeah,
it's not like he doing nothing it's nothing to sneeze at. But
no, not at all.
Anthony Edwards is averaging 36, and I guess some of those numbers may come closer as the games go on, but
right.
I'm just saying.
Nah, I hear you. It's not crazy. The Timberwolves winning this series is not a crazy thing to say. I was just floored when Stephen A. thought that this was a 5-game series, especially after watching what we all saw in Game 1. Like, this team can play with Memphis. I mean, they legit got 3 guys. Minnesota, that is. They got 3 guys that could give you 20 plus. Like, I don't know. I don't know that Memphis has that.
I don't know that Memphis has that, right?
You know
Maybe
what I mean?
2.
They may have 2. They may have 2, but Minnesota got a legit 3 guys that can give you 20 plus. So I mean, and if Memphis is going to win this series, it's going to be the Ja Morant show. Like, he got to go off for like 40. Yeah, he got to go off for 40 plus. Maybe not twice in this series, maybe 3 times in this series. He's got to go for 40 plus.
Can't wait to see how he responds.
Yeah, I can't wait either, man. So Golden State and the Nuggets, and I watched some of that last night, and I went to bed after the first half because Steph was just putting on a clinic, and Draymond was just locking down Jokic, and like that dude, I mean, he got so upset that I forget who it was that pat him on the ass, but he was about to go see homie.
He about to fight.
He was about to go see homie, right? So yeah. Look, man.
Sweep.
After watching these first 2 games, right?
Sweep. Yep.
Yeah. Because I had Golden State in 6. I wanted to give Denver a couple of games, but I just think it's so much easier. When you don't have Michael Porter Jr. and you don't have Jamal Murray, it's so much easier to key in on Jokic and try to force somebody else around him to make something happen. Jeff Green ain't going to do it. Will Barton ain't going to do it. You know what I
Aaron
mean?
Gordon damn sure ain't gonna do it.
Right, and that dude getting some money. Like I heard somebody talking about that this morning. Like, yo, Aaron Gordon getting some money and he ain't really been doing much. So,
But it's like I saw somebody say on TV today. It's like the your second and third best players are injured, and then you're asking your third and fourth players to step into the role of the second and third player.
yeah,
Specifically in point production, that's never been Aaron Gordon's game, and and it's not Will Barton's game. So it's
right,
like you it's kind of you put in a difficult situation. And meanwhile, Jordan Poole is shooting your face off. Meanwhile,
yeah.
Steph Curry is shooting your face off.
Yo, he.
And Draymond Green is locking down who
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people thought was the MVP of this league.
Yeah, yeah. And I know it's a regular season award, but I never had Jokic as the MVP anyway. But I know this performance is going to sway some people towards Embiid or towards Giannis.
Oh, it's Embiid. It's Embiid.
Nah, I got you. I got you. For me, it's still the Greek Freak for me, but I got you. Yeah, I mean, just go back to we talking about Jordan Poole. I mean, forget the points he's putting up. Like, he just made somebody look foolish last night. I forget who it was, but I mean, he shook him and just drained one from three. And the next thing you know, like the next 2-3 possessions in a row, he's just draining threes. And I'm like, yo, this is like this is a lethal weapon lineup that they got right now.
Yeah,
like this.
Yeah, I forget. I saw somebody calling it. They got this lineup called the Death lineup.
The Death lineup. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole, I think Draymond,
Yep.
and another shooter. I forget who the other shooter was.
Might
But
be
shooter,
Wiggins, maybe.
Wiggins, that's who it is. Wiggins.
Yeah.
And they called that the Death lineup, and they said when they put that lineup in game 2, that's when the game got out of hand. And they put that lineup in at the end of the first half, so it's not even like it was in like the fourth quarter. Like they put the game out of reach by halftime, and with that lineup. So
because Denver came out hot a little bit. They had a lead for about a quarter and a half, and then that's when the Death lineup came in, and that was pretty much all she wrote after that. But yeah, man, God, man, I hate injuries, man. I mean, everybody hates injuries, but these kinds of players, Jamal Murray, Clint Capella, like these kinds of players that make differences in series and how long they go, it just takes the fun out of watching a sweep. Like I hate sweeps, but we might have 5 sweeps in these playoffs, bruh. Just in this first round alone, we might have 5 sweeps.
Because the Pelicans damn sure getting swept.
Yeah.
With all due respect.
That's
Coach
facts.
basically came out and Coach Willie Green basically came out and said, "Man, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with these motherfuckers." He didn't say that verbatim, but he was like, "Man, they doing this and we doing this and we trying to do that, but that ain't working." So
yeah, he know. I mean, of all people, he should know. He was on that staff before he got the job. He knows. But I gotta give his respect to Willie Green though, because not a lot of people picked them to make the final 8, and he did.
Sure.
But you going up against a juggernaut, and I can't see him winning the game. And with respect to Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum and this rookie Trey Murphy, who's been doing some things for him pretty good. I just don't see it when Chris Paul can just say, okay, I'm just gonna stop the bleeding here, and I'm just gonna take over.
Yeah.
And like I've been telling niggas, including yourself, like y'all done got Chris Paul left up a few times.
Nah. I'm gonna say this. Mm-hmm. Chris Paul has been doing something different. It's funny because it's funny that you brought this up because it's just another thing I saw on TV today. Chris Paul has done something in his off-court routine Like he's doing something different, and he's starting to see the results of it. Like kind of like the TB12 rejuvenation that happened with Tom Brady.
Yeah, right.
Like he's doing something like that different with his body, and that's what's showing up on the court. This is not the same Chris Paul. My personal opinion. This is not the same Chris Paul that I was talking about in Houston and
Oklahoma City
and the Clippers, and like this ain't the same Chris Paul. This Chris Paul is a different dude who working out different and changing his body and changing his regimen. And now he's getting the results of the regiment change. He might be another one of those players that played a 40.
Because what, he 37, right?
37, yeah. 30. So he might be another one of those that played a 40 and play at a high level along with LeBron, who's going to do it as well.
Right.
He's done it different, and I didn't know that he made those types of changes. But that's the reason why I kind of got my foot in my mouth and kind of got to eat my words. But this ain't the same Chris Paul that I was judging when I was giving those criticisms to Chris Paul.
I think he's doing it at a more volume type clip with Phoenix than he has in his previous stops. Because even in Oklahoma City, I remember the series in the bubble against the Rockets. I mean, they took the Rockets to 7 games when people thought this was a team that was going to get swept by the Rockets. And I said, a team with Chris Paul getting swept? I don't think so. Not with Chris Paul. So I think he's, it's funny you bring that up, and it's interesting because he's 37 years old, and it's almost as if he's still, like, if he's not top 5, like he's one of the best to ever do it still.
At point guard, yeah.
At point guard, sure. Yeah. At point guard, so, sure. Yeah, the Pelicans don't have an answer for CP3. Nope. They don't have an answer. They don't even have an answer for DeAndre Ayton, for real. Yeah. Valanciunas is not the guy that's going to, lock that guy up.
We ain't even got into Devin Booker because Devin Booker just been cruising for real.
Yeah, right. But he gonna explode in one of these games though.
I mean, yeah, he might, but it's not like he's needed. Like he can. I mean, I hate to sound this way, no disrespect to the Pelicans, but he can chill if he wants to. He can chill, averages 24 right now because Ayton averaging 21. Chris Paul, I don't know what I know he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
He could chill. Like if he wanted to chill, I think he could chill and score 23. And still they still gonna get the sweep.
CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram can't get him one. Not one.
I don't think so. I don't think so, man.
Yeah. As much as I would like for them to do so to get him one, I don't think they're gonna get him one.
Yeah.
I really don't.
But shout out to Willie Green and shout out to the Pelicans for sure.
Yeah, no question.
Nobody thought they was gonna get there. I mean, I ain't gonna throw no more shade. I ain't gonna throw no shade on them. I'll just say congratulations on making the playoffs.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Remember, they were down 13 points against the Clippers without Paul George. So
yeah, I'm trying to. I'm not gonna throw shade, and
you don't have to. But you don't have to throw shade because they played the Clippers without Paul George, and the Clippers could have still won that game. You know what I'm saying? They still could have won that game.
Well, the shade that I'm trying not to throw, but I guess you're just gonna have me throw it, because you keep on. I don't think they beat the Clippers with Paul George.
No, we agree.
Oh yeah. So
yeah.
I'm trying not to throw that shade. So I'm trying not to throw that.
No, I hear you.
Not even gonna be there.
We agree.
Because they ain't gonna be there with Paul George. Yeah.
We agree, but I think if you're somebody on the outside looking in, knowing Paul George was not going to play, you would have thought, okay, the Pelicans are gonna, they're gonna beat the Clippers handily. They didn't beat the Clippers handily. They had to fight. They had to fight the Clippers to, pull this off.
But my point is that some would say because they had to struggle with without Paul George.
Yeah.
That they probably didn't need to be there. I'm not
sure.
going to take the win from them. I'm not going to take the play-in win from them.
Of course.
I'm just going to say that they probably shouldn't have been here to begin with.
No, I hear you. I hear you, and
That's the shade I was trying not to throw.
okay. No, I don't think it's no shade because of the. For me,
Well, it's definitely shade.
it's the way they won the game. Like if you would have told me they cruised past the Clippers, like they beat the Clippers soundly, then I got you. But they had to overcome some stuff to beat the Clippers without him. Like that's saying something.
They shouldn't have had to. Well, it's saying, but that's not saying. To me, that's a bad thing for the Pelicans. So you telling me that you had to struggle against a playoff P-less Clipper team? You had to struggle?
Hey, I mean, again, we agree they shouldn't be here if Paul George hadn't gotten COVID. We agree. I mean, my outlook on the game without him was, oh, the Pelicans should beat this team soundly now.
I'll pose this question then.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Let's say the Clippers win. Let's say the Clippers win the playoff game. Mm-hmm. They play the Suns, the 1-8, but obviously Paul George is going to clear protocol after 10 days or 5 days, whatever the rule is nowadays.
Right.
Do they win a game? The Clippers win a game against Phoenix? I say they win a game.
I think they win again. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So for me,
absolutely.
The Pelicans didn't need to be there. Now I'm happy they got there. Willie Green, shout out to him.
Brandon Ingram,
his first. Shout out to them.
Yeah, it's more about shouting out the coach for me than it is anything.
But some would say they didn't earn this playoff victory. I'm not going to say that. They won the game, and that's what happens. I don't care who on the court. I won the game. I'm in the playoffs.
Right.
But some would say that this ain't even some would discredit this playoff berth because they didn't really beat a Clippers team.
Yeah.
At full capacity.
I hear you. I hear you. I got you. And I'll just to put a button on it, just for me, just the way they came back and beat them. It says something bad about the Pelicans, yes. But just the way they went through the game adversity-wise, came back, beat the team, they're here. Briefly, they're going to be here because they're going home quick. They're going home quick. Fast. So
definitely. I don't got them 1-1.
So, here's the series that I think has a chance. It has a chance now to be good now, right? So,
Utah fucked up.
So, shout out to Jalen Brunson, Villanova's own Jalen Brunson, 41 points in Game 2 last night. Basically carried the team to the victory in Game 2. Jalen Brunson has saved the Dallas Mavericks season.
Yep.
He has saved the season because guess what? Yep. Luka is going to come back in Game 3. I really believe he's going to come back in Game 3. And they'll get a game in Utah. They'll tie this thing up. And there's going to be a big opportunity for them to win this series now. I'm still going to hold serve with my pick with the Jazz in 6. I'm still going to hold my pick there. But I'd be silly if I didn't acknowledge that Jalen Brunson has saved this team's season. And Utah had a chance to run away with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to just go ahead and say it. If Luka comes back Game 3, Jazz is done.
Mm-hmm. And Donovan Mitchell is on his way somewhere else.
Like he should be.
Yeah. So
and look, man, I like Joe Ingles. I like Rudy Gobert.
Ingles got cut, I thought.
Did he really?
Yeah. I think Ingles got cut because he's not. I didn't see him on the floor. In the first 2 games. So it's Bogdanovich, that cat Royce O'Neal, who hit a big shot for them in Game 1. Bogdanovich, Rudy, and Mike Conley. I mean, those are really your and Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench for them.
Off the bench, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's really those guys. That. Yeah.
Well, they like Joe Ingles.
They cut him. Oh yeah, I like him too. I like him going back to that.
I did not know that. I did not.
Yeah, he got cut. He got cut.
I did not know that. Yeah, well, I'm looking at it. He is not on this roster at all.
So someone made mention that before the Game 1 against the Jazz that Julius Randle was in the building along with Worldwide West and Allen Houston. at the game in Dallas and for game one. And I'm like, look, I know it's the Knicks, and I know people just can't keep the Knicks name out their mouths even when they're not relevant. But come on, like I don't need to hear that the reason they're at the game is because they're scouting Jalen Brunson or they're scouting Donovan Mitchell. Like I don't need to hear that.
Hey, blame it on your media team.
They not my media team. I don't work for them niggas.
That's your city's media. That's your city that gets into that type of minutia, even if it's not true.
I'm like Julius Randle's from Texas. Of course he can go to the Dallas game. Like, what's the problem? That's where he's from.
No, I agree, but
you know what I'm saying?
That's what New York media do.
Yeah. That hey. And quite frankly, it wasn't even New York media. It was ESPN. It wasn't even New York media, bruh. It was national media.
I hear you, but New York media was in that. They was involved. I hear you.
No, I that part I agree with. I think they were involved, but I heard it from national media.
Gotcha.
That talking point. But
I mean, hey, look, man. I tell you this though. If 3-4 months down the line you hear that Donovan Mitchell coming to New York, you gonna have to come back to this and give it some credence.
Oh, look, I'm gonna do my own version of the Bing Bong video, bro. If that comes to light, no question about it. But I'm not right now. Not right now. I just want to watch some good playoff basketball right now. My team's not in it. I'm watching these other teams go at it. So, and quite frankly, I'm this close to saying I'm ready for the second round because there's about 2.5 series that can really go the distance from what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm here for all the twos. I'm here for the 2s and 7s, and like you said, I'm here for the Utah and Dallas. Now that Utah let them get that game, I'm with you there.
Yep. I mean, I really don't got nothing else other than I heard Colin Kaepernick speak to the media the other day saying that he would accept the backup role if need be. But the reality is the goal for him is I don't want to stay a backup. I want to be a starter. You have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, what else do you expect him to say? How old is he now?
I think he's like 32 now.
That's it?
I think he's like 32 years old. You
like
think he's older than that?
I feel like, and I hope, I feel like I'm going to try to find out really fast. I think he's older than that. He is, okay, not that much, but he's 34.
34. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was my reason. My reasoning for saying it is like, I mean. What, like, cause now you 34 and I get it. Your play on the field was your play on the field so long ago. Yep. But how much money you want now? How much money you want to be a backup now? You like
been away from the game. Been away from the game for 5 years.
Mitch Trubisky is what, 25, and I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying that he's probably the cheapest starter as of right now. That's and. Colin Kaepernick, I can't imagine Colin Kaepernick coming on to any team for that.
Right.
And being happy anyway. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe he would say, you know what, I just want to get in.
I'll take $1 million or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Maybe he does that. But I don't see that he would do that. And, I get his taboo Seattle talking about, ooh, we'll look at him again and he working out and doing all this other stuff, and that's cool. Dude, get how you live. Because truth be told, I'd be happy for him if he got a job. But, as time continues to go by, it just doesn't seem realistic. It just doesn't.
I don't think he's coming back in the league ever again. But I do love the fact that he's continuing to keep his name in the circles of the NFL in terms of talking points, because it further proves, and I think we all know this, I don't think we're blind enough to not know that the NFL owners have this mentality of racism and things like that. But I think it proves that most teams, they really not trying to win, football games. Like, the guy's putting out videos of him throwing the football, like, his workouts, his own personal stuff. And as long as he continues to keep putting that stuff out there, it's making the owners look a little bit like, okay, I mean, we get it. We see that you, look like you're still in shape, but we don't want you because we think you're a liability to our league. And, it is what it is, but I love Colin Kaepernick's energy when it comes to that. So I'm not one of those guys that says Colin Kaepernick needs to go away or he needs to stop being in the news for anything related to the NFL. I'm not one of those guys.
Neither do I.
You know what I'm saying? Keep the conversations going because it just further exposes what we all know already. So I'm with the energy.
Yeah. Well, I say push your agenda until you don't want to push it no more. Like, look, man, I ain't got no problem with it. I don't, like I said, I agree with you. I don't think he's ever going to get another job in the NFL. But hey, keep saying it. Look, I'm still out here chasing dreams at 38 too. So who the fuck am I telling him at 34 to stop chasing? Especially when he was in a Super Bowl, a part of his, he in some respects achieved his dream. So
yeah, exactly. Got a bag too.
He just trying to get back.
Yeah, I feel him. He got his bag though. He getting that Nike money. Getting some of that documentary money too. Which I got to see that documentary by the way too. I can't forget about that. I want to see that still.
I gotta go. I need to watch that HBO show on the Lakers. I need to watch. Shaq is on the Pivot podcast. I need to watch. And then I need to watch the Kaepernick joint on the Kaepernick podcast on I Am Athlete. Those are the three things that I need to watch before the end of the week.
And you just reminded me. I remember talking last week at the end of the show about Cam Newton. I said I was going to watch that interview, and I haven't watched that interview yet. So
I probably won't watch that.
I still don't have an opinion on that, so I'm just going to leave that be what it be. But shout out.
My last thing I want to say, because I just don't want to disrespect Marcus Smart because I don't like the Boston Celtics. Congrats to Marcus Smart for winning Defensive Player of the Year. Well deserved. The first to get that award at point guard since Gary Payton. I don't know if you saw Gary Payton came and gave him the trophy.
I saw.
So that's big. That's big. I don't like I said, I don't like the Boston Celtics, but I do respect Marcus Smart as a player, and he deserves that award.
Yeah, shout out to Marcus Smart. I saw some of that before I got on, and you referenced Gary Payton and everything like that, and so that's big. That's and there's a bunch of other legitimate candidates for that award too, but Marcus Smart, glad he's getting his flowers because he's been in the league for a while now,
and he's been that good defensively.
Exactly. So shout out to him. And on a lighter front, that's non-sports related. Rest in peace to the late great DJ K Slay, the Drama King, New York legend, mixtape legend. Passed away from COVID complications, was actually in a hospital for about 3-4 months, and people thought that he was going to pull through. Unfortunately, he didn't make it, so I want to shout out DJ K Slay, the Drama King, and condolences to his family and everybody.
Rest in peace to K Slay for sure. I saw that you posted it on our IG, and I thought that it just has to be New York bias, and I get that K Slay, and I get his legacy in music. But I saw you post it and thought this has got to be New York biased on our very sports centric IG handle.
It is. I'll say that.
I don't. In respect.
I don't know how much bias it is. I can't tell you. I can't tell you the level of. But yeah, I mean, some bias was certainly
no argument,
involved
no
with it.
no argument here. K State's
Nope.
a legend.
Yep.
So no argument here. But I did see that and think, oh, this must be this some New York bias shit right here.
Was it the picture? Was it the picture for you?
No.
Was
Is
it...
that we don't? No. Is that we don't post a whole bunch of things
Gotcha.
that's not sports on our IG.
Gotcha.
So for that to be the one, and I'm not saying it's unworthy of being posted. I just looked at it and said, "Oh,
Gotcha.
This was the straw that broke the camel's back of us breaking out."
I ain't gonna front, because if you recognize that picture, that's from the Major Look video, and
I did. I didn't even think twice about it.
Oh, okay, yeah. That to me, that was one of his best photos, around, So,
Yeah.
Again,
But definitely rest in peace, condolences, legend.
Yep.
And what he means to hip hop, and you know how I am about that. Rest in peace, condolences to the family, thoughts and condolences.
Legend in the game. Shout out to all of our Facebook Live viewers. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Shout out to all the listeners. Don't forget, folks, just continue to follow us on the Facebook page. Click the like button. Let your friends know we're on Facebook. Also, you can let them know we got a YouTube channel, so make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. And if you got questions or comments, you want to be on the show, you got some, you want to give us some money, you can hit us up at barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com. So that's it, man. Another week in the books.
Give us some money, man.
Yeah, I need some bread, bro. I need some of that. I need some of that Tom Brady bread, bro. All right, y'all. Good night, folks. Y'all have a good week. Peace.
Love.
Recording stopped.